Shalom, friends, and welcome to Walking the Ancient Path, where we explore the language, landscape, and life rhythms of the Scriptures in a lighter, more accessible way, journeying into the world of the Bible as its original listeners would have experienced it. I'm your host, Sully, joined by our trusted companions, Decan, our ancient Hebrew thought scholar, and Hope, a storyteller who seems to walk right out of the hills of Judea.
In this dialogue, we'll trace the gospel theme from Genesis through Revelation in natural ancient Hebrew thought, using vivid concrete imagery and Hebraic motifs. We'll keep the language earthy and relational, what the ancients saw with their hands and experienced with their feet.
Beautiful. Let's walk through the entire story as an old Hebrew perspective would see it. An unfolding of a sacred house story told in concrete images, tents and seed, covenant meals and threshing floors, shepherding and vineyards, leading to the living gate, the true seed, and the restored tabernacle in which God walks with his people again.
The seed story starts in Genesis, the household, the seed, and the promise. Key images include tent, seed, earth, word as planting, oath or covenant, stairway, altar, and water well.
Viewing creation through ancient Hebrew imagery, we understand it as a way of making a home. Elohim, Yahweh, the Divine Housebuilder, constructs a tent, the cosmos, and places within it a garden as the family hearth. Humanity is created to tend the ground and care for the tent, work and watch, living in a meaningful relationship with the divine host.
Then the rupture happens, disorder and exile when the first family breaks the covenant. They are gently driven from the garden, exiled from the central tent. The world mirrors the effects of this rupture. Thorns, sweat, wandering. Yet Yahweh's voice stays hopeful, softly promising restoration.
The gospel opens with Yahweh's heartfelt promise to gather and restore his people, bringing blessing to all. In a world that's fractured and broken, Yahweh reaches out to Abraham and his family, making a promise you can truly hold on to. It's a promise you can see and feel, land like a secure tent, and a multitude of descendants as countless as stars and sand. This gathering will become a blessing to all nations. The covenant is like a sacred meal. God affirms his promise with visible signs and firm words, sending the seed as a living arrow aimed at blessing the world.
Starting from Abraham, faithfulness is cherished as a sacred way of life, centered around promises and characterized by tent openness, inviting hospitality, altar making, and a trusting heart that God will nurture the seed to grow.
Next, the seed blossoms into a people, an inspiring journey from Exodus to Deuteronomy that is full of themes like liberation and important instructions. Memorable symbols such as unleavened bread, the Exodus symbolizing a fresh start, a house that has been ransacked yet is rich with history, a grand pillar of cloud and fire leading the way, the mountain covenant representing commitment, the tabernacle tent as a place of worship, and guiding directives all beautifully depict this story.
The Exodus feels like a gentle midwife scene, the birth of a nation, a people coming into being from slavery into freedom, passing through water and sharing simple bread along the journey. Freedom isn't just an abstract idea, it's the everyday path toward Elohim's place.
The gospel's way includes liberation and a life formed by the covenant, freedom that leads to faithful household living under Yahweh's roof. At Mount Sinai, the divine host Yahweh shares his heartfelt household code, the mountain covenant, as gentle guidance for living in Yahweh's camp, caring for the hearth, welcoming the stranger, and respecting property and speech. These commands, precepts, and instructions lovingly shape how a restored family comes together and lives in harmony.
The portable tabernacle tent is the visual heart. Yahweh pitches his tent among the people's camp. Worship, sacrifice, and the priestly pattern are not metaphysical puzzles, but the communal practices that keep the presence in the camp.
Next, land, seed, and kingship and settlement and kingdom are found in Joshua to Kings. Core images here are city and olive tree, vine and vineyard, threshing floor, teachable seed, and king as shepherd.
Moving from wandering to settling down, the promised land is like a tent finally put in place. A living promise coming true in the form of houses, vineyards, and clan plots. The people, Israel, are meant to be a vibrant community of seeds, growing and thriving together.
Israel's early monarchy is framed around the idea of a shepherd or house builder who keeps the flock and defends the household in shepherd-king imagery. Kings are to shepherd the covenant. When they fail, the household fragments.
Yahweh's true reign isn't about wielding imperial power, but about caring for his household with faithfulness, righteousness that truly brings shalom, or wholeness. Think of prophets as watchmen on the roof, alert and caring, warning us when the land is misused or when feasts turn into greed. The genuine king listens with a compassionate heart, acting as a shepherd who lovingly restores the lost and gathers everyone back together.
The wound and the promise follows in prophets and the exile, judgment and future hope. The core images, watchman, remnant, shoot from stump, vineyard harvest, day of Yahweh, suffering servant.
Because of covenant failure and exile, the people go through a difficult time, with houses burned and tents taken away. Exile acts like a threshing floor where separation happens, removing the unwanted and leaving what's valuable. It's a tough place to be, but it's not the end of the story. The seed will be pruned and wounded, but through that suffering, new life, a faithful remnant, and a renewed household will come.
Prophets speak of a hopeful remnant, a tiny surviving seed, a fresh covenant written on hearts, a return to the land, and a new Davidic shepherd. The imagery of a shoot sprouting from a stump or a tender plant beautifully captures the idea of renewal, even from what seems lifeless, inspiring them with a sense of hope and new beginnings.
A figure, the servant, bears suffering much like someone who carries a yoke, all to help heal the household. His suffering acts as a healing force through sacrifice and intercession, fitting beautifully into the servant motif.
Next, our journey takes us to wisdom and Torah life. Psalms and Proverbs and the Torah tradition, heart and way. The core images are path, lamp, heart, tree by water. Wisdom woman as tent friend.
The gospel calls people to relearn the everyday walk shaped by Torah wisdom, humility, justice, mercy, and hospitality. Wisdom literature reiterates that the Torah is a way of life, a lamp for the feet and a path for the daily traveler. Wisdom is a concrete skill for life, how to walk rightly in the tent town.
Psalms keep the daily rhythm with prayer and praise as hearth practice, lament, thanksgiving, covenant memory. Prayer is the family's conversation with the host, Yahweh.
Next time, we'll continue to explore the gospel journey from Genesis to Revelation, immersing in rich Hebrew thoughts. We'll use vivid images and Hebraic motifs to bring it alive. Our language will stay warm and down to earth, reflecting how the ancients saw and felt the world, making it personal and inviting.